shows how difficult this specific major finals actually is, what level of competition we're seeing. I actually see Mr. Savage, Shab, and Reason in the most elevated position so far. Sato down below, though, doing what they can for a quick triple spray. Gonna drop down. Very, but is it gonna be enough for the knock? It is. Look at the amount of eliminations that this trio already has, Taco.
Smart there, though, using that unstable yoink to pull them in closer so they don't have to actually expose themselves. Jumping into the other box for the body loot. Good heads-up play. And Sato, Karma, Splik. Hey. For right now, Takada, that little bit of a refresh, leaving them with ample amount of materials, they're gonna have the ability to just prioritize exclusively on positioning, and that's really the big heads-up moment here that we're trying to keep an eye out for, is who's actually going to take over the control on front side, because great minds think alike. We're seeing Veno, we're seeing Tayson at that front side low currently, but Reason, Chap, Savage, height is their primary interest, because they know what kind of advantages height can provide.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just great minds think alike, it's are you set up enough to do what the ideal situation might permit. It's all about having, like you said, enough materials, enough loot to kind of commit to certain plays depending on the zone. And when you get those refreshes, it really just put you in a position where you're able to capitalize on that.
Niggas are below surge and they're about 1500.
I'm dead. Choose to just try and find any connection possible, having already rotated front side.
Biko with a kill.
At these trios, we're a little late to the party. Take a few shots, but
zero testing on Biko.
Just trying to be careful, and it's sure it's about getting searched online. Pause on that though.
Reason's fucking dead.
Has definitely struck here for Savage and Chap. Reason eliminated.
Kamihari going up
high.
high.
As a duo now to try and contest all these other healthy trios, but not everybody is
going with the Queasy set.
But not everybody is in iDrop, Cammy, and Hottie's position here, Takada. This is just
Simple Red says, I don't know
how
many matches we have. Crazy as shit. For Doxy's getting shit on.
Doxy, big shut down there from iDrop. You give him the Mythic DMR, those are the kinds of plays you want to see happen.
Taking down one of the top competitors. Who would have thought, if we look back in Major 2, that Cammy, iDrop, and Chari would be on height game 1 of the Major 3 finals, from a newly formed trio to qualifying through the last chance qualifier, and now prime position, first moving zone in game 1 here. Flixie, Veno on the other hand, have already lost their teammate.
It's another just big blow to some of our
my fucking God.
top favorite teams.
Nice.
But Flixie looking to take whatever advantages he can, just trying to get some pot shots into players skirting by, looking for those open-ended rotations. They can at least play off these dash charges for the dash sprite, but overhead, Hottie, iDrop, Cammy, just continuing to tarp out.
Fucking
they have total control of the high ground for right now, and I just keep thinking back to what height might look like. And Queasy was still in this lobby. His team was injured earlier on. Veno, Flixie, they're trying to make something happen. They know that Tayson's under a lot of duress here. They're trying to add to it, but you've also got to keep track of what's taking place on your back tarp. And Veno trying to see if he can maybe play for the pre-edit. He's just looking to take advantage of spraying, pressuring teams, because he needs a surge more than anything, and they just keep barely pushing themselves over the cusp of that surge damage threshold. But will it be enough? They're gonna have to use the Medimus now and just play.
Bro, what is this nigga doing?
It's Veno and Flixie as a duo. You can see Sato's trio had 10 eliminations, and they were still below surge in the 10th zone. It didn't matter, they had double digits. Veno, Flixie somehow still holding on. Good amount of mats left, but it's all wood. They're gonna have to find a potential refresh soon. Cammy, Ari, iDrop from the far zone pull. They have to be running quite low on materials. Mr. Savage is a solo as well.
Savage, zero build.
Sato as a solo, he's somehow kept up. The big pot gonna be used, but now it's riding the wave and playing it slow.
Savage is just doing everything he can think of to buy himself a little bit more time. Hopefully that's going to be enough to be the difference between one placement and the next. Savage is just forced to continue using out the last little bits of his white heels. Now
nigga's getting belt, bro. That's crazy. Sato's the one that took down Savage. Crazy as shit. Oh my God. This nigga cannot edit, bro.
Immediately put down though the moment that he tries to layer switch down to the ultimate low.
Raining bullets from above. Chari, Cammy still holding strong. Tayson's gonna lose her wrist though. All
X-Force
show now, and Tayson is a duo. Good news is they have enough heals. Bad news is not a lot of time. Flixie, Veno, they're still holding on. They're still doing it. The issue is, I think their second height, the pressure's not stopping from Cammy. They know that they have to keep pushing them down lower and lower. They want them to fight the trios down low. And with materials running low, it's going to have to happen soon.
Nobody has any mats to work with unless you're Cammy, Hottie, and everyone else in the low ground just so stuck, tumbling over each other.
That's his own.
Teeny Trulex trying to see if they can get away from being smothered, but Hottie, iDrop, Cammy, they've got a firm grasp on height. Even if they need to drop for a refresh, they are one of our few healthy-looking trios still in this current position. Veno, Flixie, trying to just chase after whatever they can get. Gonna look to play the medkit now. They're not the only ones either, but Seti, Yapko.
Yo, this might be Panzer's offensive, bro. Crazy as shit. One more.
Keeping it rolling. Good exchange, but it might not be enough. Panzer, Seti, they're the only ones left to try and get the job done.
I'm knowing
But
something.
they're tumbling back towards the deep side of the storm, and they have to play their heels. Cammy from overhead. This has just been completely turned upside down here for Veno. He can no longer survive.
Big pumps coming through. Cammy has left both of his teammates to run down below and start fragging out. Neither one of them has been eliminated yet. All they need to do is pick up a couple more eliminations to close this out, but Axforce is going to misform a way to start the heal off. He has multiple medkits. iDrop now on the hunt. Where did you go? I'm listening. Nathan, final player in the zone, gets knocked down, and the heal off begins.
Oh,
and now it's exclusively down to how long can you withstand it.
Yeah,
Cammy, what are we working with here, bud? We see the Medmis grenade, and it's more than enough. Cammy sending a message. This is my new team, and we are here to do the same thing you have witnessed me do so many times in the past, and it is win a game in a major finals.
We thought they were out. Having not qualified in Group 3, it was looking grim. The final opportunity and the last chance gave them a spot in the major finals. And despite being contested, Cammy, Hari, and iDrop were able to secure a 14 elimination victory royale in the first game of the EU Major 3 finals. What a way to kick off this tournament.
It's also just the fact there that we saw Seti, Yapko, and Panzer in the mix there, Takada. Who would have thought that this is where we would be right now? But even taking a look back to the success that Cammy's trio had in Game 1, so much of it needs to be credited towards iDrop. He was just getting so fraggy in these lower layers, finding every single refresh, everything that he could possibly do to thin out the lobby to ensure that Cammy would have the best odds at success for the heal off.
I want to know how many eliminations they were able to pick up in those final moments, and there's 3 beautiful faces that can break it down for us. So Frankie, take it away.
Quick maths. 13 eliminations for Cammy's trio. They set out their stall in this final early, just as they did the high ground boys. That masterful Mr. Cross establishing themselves and holding on to it until the victory royale, Evan.
And it wasn't an easy game of pools, right? It's not like Zone just kept pulling back and they could stay up on their old bills. At times, Zone was pulling far and they just held on to it. Such good pressure. Anybody that could have been a threat with some of these zones was just eliminated through relentless spray. They did so well there, Mini.
Yeah, this is just an experienced performance throughout, really. Nobody could even look up at high. Of course, we don't have the likes of Queasy in the lobby, so maybe things have been a little bit different if he was, but the way that they played this high ground was absolutely perfect. You could almost replace the 3 names with Vanya's team, and we would have said the exact same thing. It's a very Vanya-esque performance, taking it nice and early. And I have to mention iDrop. What a performance from him right there. We've spoken about it previously, Levin, about how iDrop performs very well leading up to major finals, and then when it comes to the major finals, he isn't quite at that level. Hopefully now, this is a sign of things to come.
Yeah, I think the big thing for him, right, is that in this trio, in previous trios when we've looked at iDrop, there's obviously been more of a burden on him to hold the responsibility. And I know it's something he struggled with even earlier this year when he was playing with iDrop, Sky, and Scroll, and there was, you know, everyone saying they're, you know, favorites, they can do really good. And he struggled, right? And I know he had spoken to some other top pros being like, I didn't actually know how to call some of those mid games with Surge. I didn't know what to do. In this trio, though, when you've got Cammy, you've got the help of BloodX, you know, in your core, being able to make decisions for you, it takes that burden off. He can focus on playing this game. He can focus on fragging out like he did in that end game, and we get to see the result of it.
3 individuals who didn't have the best start to Chapter 6 are now thriving, but can it continue? Let's have a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be discussing the rest of the lobby.
Cammy washed. Didn't Cammy win game 1? Yeah, Cammy won game 1. The eyedropper's going fucking crazy, bro. This nigga's actually like putting in pain. Like, bro, it's the team you least expect to actually like put belt in grands. These niggas just be locking in, chat. Like, bro. Like, look at this nigga, bro. What you feeling like, bro? Ari was getting belt. Cammy saving the day. So this is what these niggas are doing. Crazy shit. Bro, who's landing coin, bro? Because I'm not gonna lie. This is like wild. Like, wait, Prodoxy's putting bell. Oh my god. It's a clean off spawn fight, bro. Not even close, bro. These niggas are actually still getting shown, bro. Thanks. I was about to say if Pablo lost that shit, bro. Nah, but Panzer's looking crazy as shit, bro. These kids, like, that's crazy, bro. Like, you should have seen this nigga wipe like 3 people or something like that. Like, in a row. This shit was crazy, bro. Nigga wiped the whole trio by himself and then he played backside to play yellow. Got a 3rd or 2nd place. Crazy as shit. No, bro, but that surge trading meta shit, bro, is actually terrible, bro. Tell me how first rotating zone, Veno's over here with 1500 surge, and then the next 1 minute with the next rotating zone, these niggas had 0. Like, how the fuck does that make sense? Up 1500 surge and they're down next rotating. That's crazy, bro. Like, fucking hell. I might just put this 4K. Oh, wait.
Welcome back to the FNCS Europe Major 3 finals, and the drama started before the games even began, but what a game 1, gentlemen. Levin, we should talk about Vino, Vico and Flixie first of all. Unfortunately, we lost Vico at the start of the end game, but it didn't matter to these two in a way because this duo put on a masterclass. At one point, you were watching in the green room saying, oh, that is a beautiful rotation from Veno, Levin.
Yeah, well, it comes, that rotation, maybe we'll see it. It comes a bit later in the game, but I think it was critical for one reason in particular, in that it allowed them to save so much materials, and that's always so important when you are just a duo, right? All these other trios left in the lobby, right? All these tarpers, they get to just sit there, keep tarping out. They got 2 fraggers ready to drop their materials. In this case, Veno, he's only got Flixie there. When Flixie's match run out, they're in trouble, and so he makes great calls to keep them in the game longer than they probably should be, Mini, with, you know, again, great timings, using the med miss to, you know, camp in zone a bit so that they could then use the dashes to get ahead of the rest of the lobby. Really well played for them as a duo there, and again, it's signs of what's to come. If they can be all 3 of them up, especially with Vico's fragging power to get refreshes in some of these end games, they're going to be more than okay moving forward.
Who would have thought the player that Mr. Savage and Mongrel gave a chance to,
when they do become a duo, even a solo, they're 3 individual, so talented players, so we can expect that moving forward, and it just gives them that little bit of a buff now. This first game, they didn't have a great performance, of course, not being all alive, but the fact that they're able to pull through and get a really nice placement, that 4th right there, it just shows they can do that when things are looking a little bit rough. So really excited to see what they can do for the rest of the day.
And it's an exciting top 10, and it's a very exciting top 2. And look at who's in 2nd place right now. Seti, Yapko, and Panzer, Mini Minor.
Yeah, another great performance from these guys. We come to expect this sort of level of gameplay from this lot, and what they're really good at here is they're really good at playing these low ground layers. You saw Cammy just sort of spraying down at them, but they controlled, they dominated this entire area, and I think we use that, or they use that experience that Panzer and Seti would have from playing this sort of position previously to do so well, finding so many eliminations as well, Evan. A really nice performance in the end, of course, 3rd place, not getting into that top 2, but they'll be really happy with that start.
I mean, it was looking like the script was going to come through and it was going to be Seti's trio head-to-head clash in the final moment, which would have been nice. And maybe we will still get that at some point today. But again, a really great account of themselves here in this first game. 2 teams in Seti's trio and in Cammy's trio who are both teams that are looking for a global spot, and they start off with great intentions. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from the both of them.
There are 2 trios that a computer might have predicted to make it to the end game of Game 1, but didn't. And if you cast your minds back to the start of Game 1, we saw a rather dramatic showdown over at Demon's Domain. I don't think Queasy was expecting Malibuca to come his way, Levin.
You know
no
what?
one was.
I mean, we certainly weren't, but at the same time, I wouldn't count it out for Queasy to have, right? You know, I know Queasy very well, and I know he can be a bit of an overthinker at times, and I'm sure this is something he would have thought about. So, look, whether or not he was prepared for it, Mini, it doesn't matter, because they were prepared in the game, right? They dealt with them off spawn swiftly. They made quick work of them, and they showcased maybe why Malibuca's trio shouldn't have landed here, because I feel like if you're gonna make that decision, Mini, right? If you're thinking, okay, cool, we're gonna tell them we're gonna leave, then we're just gonna surprise
off the drop.
Game 1.
Exactly.
Not even just like a random point.
Like, why would you do
Game
that?
1. You gotta win, man. You can't come out and then just not win. You gotta make sure you are on point for that off spawn.
And I was so surprised at that as well. This isn't like they're just landing at a completely new drop spot that they haven't been landing at all season. They've been practicing this drop. They've been learning it so well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do next now. Are they going to continue landing at Demon's Domain? Will we see them at Utopia City? Will we see them going anywhere? Who knows?
Well, we're going to find out right now with Game 2. Let's head back to Taco and Takata.
Doubt the only thing that they want to see is finding themselves eliminated early. It's tough out there, the Takata. Anything and everything could take place because everyone is trying to find those final seeds for the Global Championship Battle Bus.
That they are. An eventful Game 1 from the kind of surprise comeback at Demons to literally having Cammy and Seti together, not as teammates, but touching each other on the leaderboard in 1st and 2nd place. This is a way to kick things off, and we're ready for game number 2.
Everybody's kind of had their chance to figure out what's the pacing going to be like, because it's one thing to play through the group stage, it's one thing to play through the open quals phase and all that good stuff, Takata, but it's another demon entirely when you are dealing with a set lobby in a major grand finals.
I'm excited to see what happens here. Game 2, things are obviously going to change up, but not at Demon's Domain, as once again we have the Titans clashing.
Okay, but this could
wait, who you feeling like? Who you feeling like?
First one touchdown, Merstash immediately bails. It's gonna be the underbelly here at Demon's Domain that they're gonna look to try and take over now. Malibuca just clearing out some line of sights. Swizzy, another member of Queasy's team, just forced to scurry off, but with the top of the building being fully locked down by Malibuca's team, we might see things even out here, Takata. They need to strike back. They need to come up big here because they need to play out a game.
Nigga!
No way!
Yo!
He actually closes this one up. Only has one build trying to play last minute for the revive. It's just not going to be a possibility here. Merstash holds strong at Demon's Domain. Possibly even getting a little bit of indirect help out of the bots here at Demon's Domain. But regardless, the outcome is all the same.
We're getting
Queasy's
1v3.
with the 2-0 blow to Malibuca's trio.
Are you kidding me, Swizzy? How do they let that happen? It was literally a 1v3 in that box, and Swizzy somehow takes out 2. Finishing up the fight with Merstash shortly after. It was not looking like they were going to be able to close this out.
God,
we
this
can see from Swizzy's palm, not missing a single shot. 3 clean connects, and that was enough to go from, I would say, not even like, it was a clear disadvantage to winning the fight 2-0 now. What a way to kick things off.
Other teams, though, not necessarily having the same level of success. Hadi does have one elimination so far for Cammy's team, but damage has clearly been dealt from across the way at Shining Span. Rax and Zangi, they also have the same intentions, just gonna play for this reboot ban. Shield bubble should be enough. Hydrop and Hadi not really willing to try and cross that bridge just yet, but whatever reboot they decide to opt for, they do have enough time at least to maybe
so
just
we're
try
just
and be a
splitting
little bit
bridge.
of a nuisance. Thought they were gonna maybe try and exchange some
nigga, we're
tags
splitting
on
bridge for
Khaleesi
real?
when he was touching down. Instead, both these teams are
we actually splitting bridge?
Agreement, you know, your guy
A
comes
GA,
back,
yep,
guy
a
too,
GA.
and we'll see what happens next.
You're
We'll
right.
go from there, right?
You're right.
So it's a
Oh,
little
that's the team, man.
intimidating when your opposing trio just won the last match and is now first place on the leaderboard, but it's gonna be tough. We'll see how things play out, but with 12 matches being contested,
Oh my
it's hard to
God.
keep up the consistency yet. It's definitely possible. Sato, Split, Karma with a replay to how they kick things off this match. Quick
Oh,
elimination.
nigga.
Clown is... you know, at that point.
That's wild.
It's over. It's wraps.
No
it's
word.
fine. He was just hoping that the broadcast wasn't going to catch it, maybe. But big team is Darm. They're trying to catch some eliminations themselves.
Go
Not
crazy.
Waste time any longer. Darm with a big chunk out of Dandabuza's HP. The recovery tour, though, out of Howley. That's some really nice supportive measures there to make sure that Dandabuzo could actually get out of the thick of that action. But now, Physics, Dandabuzo, a little bit smothered here. Picks Dima's Darm, looking rather healthy. They don't have any material here, though, Takada, so it's largely just Demas that's had the chance to farm up a little bit. These buildings are just being shredded through Utopia. Physics, Dandabuzo, Howley, they're all just holding fast, though. They don't want to budge.
They're forced to fight these,
Teams
though.
aren't picks know that they're directly underneath them, but both of these teams just kind of recognizing the fact that we need material. We can't continue this fight.
They also have to kind of finish it up quickly, though, on the
Roxy,
opposing
did you
end,
know?
because they saw what happened in game one after they took too long. Prodoxy, Pablo, Chino once again doing what they can with the pumped power aggression. Chino has to be careful. He has been fully cracked. Pablo connects, or actually takes a big hit. Prodoxy's the only one with full shield, full HP now. He'll be forced to be on the aggressive end. They know that the potential third party could come through. Fred got knocked by Kuro in the last match, and it's very likely that they're looking over here once again.
Prodoxy wants to clean this fight up, though. And with Pablo on the other end, Finchek just kind of trapped between the two. But he'll be able to make it back, the rest of his team. Fredaj and Cantry kind of recognizing just how much pressure. They are being pressed by Prodoxy's team. 2 lobbies in a row here, Takada. And sure, you might initially be uncontested at Palm Power, but is it really considered uncon when Prodoxy's team is going to be this quick about getting a move on to rotate into your area and try to essentially take over your turf? That's really what it's boiling down to here, because Cantry, Finchek, Fredaj, they're only farming what Prodoxy's team is letting them farm, basically.
I saw on the feed as well. Demas has gone down. It's like Utopia City fight.
Panzer's
Getting a bit
fucking
messy
dead.
as Panzer
They're about
gets
to
knocked,
chop
but
them.
like you mentioned earlier, if you get knocked on these search bases, it isn't too much of an issue. But looking at the Utopia City fight, Demas
Takes down
fully
the
eliminated.
Demas.
Picks with an elimination, now 2. It seems to be a 2 versus 1, and Howley is not healthy.
But Darm and Pix, they know too much of their endgame success depends on being a fully intact trio. They're just going to make an immediate play for the reboot ban. They know they've got the one-man advantage over Howley, so even though he'll have the chance to heal up, bringing back Demas is going to be a much bigger impact here. And now they can look to fully try and shut down the remains of the Dandabuzo's trio. Alone Howley just kind of running off into the distance, trying to create a little bit of space here. Whether he gets chased by some of Poland's finest, can't be too sure just yet, but at the same time, it's not like he has anywhere safe to run to.
See a quick replay of what exactly went down. Actually ended up to turn that
No
fight around.
fucking
it was
way.
A 3 versus 2, but huge shots connected by Pix and Darm to bring that fight back.
Hey, bro, this
Yeah,
outlaw is
no,
looking
Robin,
crazy as
Kylie,
hell,
and
man.
Timu.
Like, I should must be doing like
Going
so
back to
much
that quick
damn, bro.
stat that in the last 2 majors, last chance qualifier teams placed top 3 in the finals, which why that is the fuel from having qualified for a last chance. Must do something, especially seeing what happened today with Cammy's first win. But let's see if Robin, Timu, and Kylie can get a little sneak attack here on Mixon.
Focus doesn't seem to have any idea of what awaits behind him. They're just anticipating that this is going to be a freebie Spire take of anything. But Focus, even when he turns around, it's to try and deal with the Spire. But he still needs to, you know, look out overhead.
Oh my god.
Timu, Kylie, and Robin, though, they've got to be real careful that they don't accidentally get themselves revealed here. You can see this buildup has just been brewing. Kylie wants to find these opening shots. They're trying to get into the perfect position for that 3-2-1 collapse and Mixon with 0 ways of being able to figure out what exactly has been solidifying behind him. He just gets immediately pounced on.
Damn!
The moment that he runs center
Niggas
stage here,
getting
Robin,
beat on.
Timu, Kylie, they strike first at Shogun Solitude. That sneak strat paying off hugely as they've now got a little bit of leverage here. 3 versus 2.
Didn't even last a second. That's now Upple and Focus gotta think, okay.
Taking all the loot too.
Yeah, what should we do now? Just got robbed in 4K as Cammy, Ari,
Robbed
and
in
Nigel. We're looking to do
4K
the
is
same
crazy
thing.
work.
With the strategy of the surge bases, now the counter strategy slowly come through. The sneak attacks, you can't repeat the same thing over and over again and not expect to get punished for it.
Everyone has just been so conditioned to where they can look for early surge exchanges that now the last thing they'd ever anticipate is a fresh trio pulling up directly behind them.
Oh my god, they're
Asul is
shitty.
gonna be the first one to get spotted. Cammy connects. Asul immediately put down by Huddy. Fletches and Valerie just running for the hills here, Takata. So much damage having already been done, though. And Cammy's team, they are not done yet. They are willing to chase this one into the void.
3-2-1 peekaboo as Cammy, Ari, I drop now, trying to finish things off. And the 3v2 issue is Pix is close by.
What the fuck?
The third party close by. They might not want to fully commit to this one, but that must have been a jump scare and a half for Very and his trio.
I mean, Valerie and Etchless, they've got nowhere to run to. They know
wait a minute.
This trio is locked into their current position, and Cammy, he could try to give a little bit of push back here, but with his shields,
Up all that surge,
spend a
boy.
little bit of time healing up.
Yo, this nigga got it.
Just menaces from inside the bush, making things so difficult for Cammy's team to want to continue that chase down. So Valerie, Etchless are going to be bailed out for right now, but they still have to deal with a team in front and a team behind. And Prodoxy's team are a prime example of what it looks like when you have nowhere left to run.
A lot of sneak attacks coming through here in the second match. A lot of 3-2-1 shows the coordination. Vico Venoflixi now are landing on contested boxcars. They're going to begin with their rotate. They've gotten their surge. They've done their damage following the meta, and now they can focus a bit more on that rotate.
So we're advocating for
But
this
it's obvious
shit?
that some of these teams are going to have to break out of the routines that they have been building up in hopes of having a strong performance here in the Major 3 Grand Finals, but you're going to have players like the Cammys, like the Venos, constantly thinking of how do we beat these kinds of strategies. And something also that Coach Harry even kind of referenced, it's not about trying to, you know, make a team copy what other good teams are doing. You want to see how they can build their own meta. And I think that that's exactly what we're witnessing with some of these sneak plays onto the surge bases. The team's just learning where others like to kind of set up at. And VOD review is always going to play a big part heading into day 2 here too.
100%. Where you're going to see that happen, it's not in scrims leading up to the finals. It's on the day of the event. I want to kind of leak
Niggas could build on that Spire.
strategies that they've been prepping for.
The aura.
Timu's gone down. Uppel now doing what he can to go up against Kylie and Robin. We saw how the 3-2-1 came through, but now I'm not even sure if
Timu's fucking dead. The average player match already plays dead.
The real issue I'm seeing, Takata, is that they were the ones that had the initial jump here at Shogun Solitude, and yet Kylie
He's got
just
the full.
looking to try and make sure that they can fully lock things down. Uppel, likely
crazy.
the last
Who you
player
feeling
from
like?
this team. And he's doing everything he can to try and fight back, to try and delay, to try and just be a problem. But all he's really doing is delaying the inevitable. Never want to speak too soon, but when the odds are just that unfavorable, I think it's pretty evident that Kylie and Robin are going to be able to close this one up. But you can at least look back to how things started off here, and yeah, Focus just completely rolled over. Just not a whole lot can be done there when you've got 3 players challenging your wall at once.
Team that died, right?
Are you ready to drink your milk?
Excited to see how it continues to go for Pink, Nevs, and Kiro. They're in 10th place now going into the second match. They've had somewhat of a safe early to mid game in game 1, playing it where they practiced, and now once again continuing to do so.
Ooh. Nasty shots, Kiro. Team from way across. Probably recognize the fact that Kido's a little bit low. Nebs, similar position. I drop. Not really looking to let up off the gas here anytime soon. But deep inside of the Storm, currently, Svi, Teeny, Trulex, gonna look to play heals. And this is something that you can almost always anticipate from Trulex. Is I think consistency tends to be his leading trait. And it's something that is not easy to come by, but Trulex is someone where it might not necessarily be flashy, but you can almost always depend on him to figure out a way to make it into every single end game.
But it's more than just making it to the end game. I mean, they were
Mammoths,
able to
right?
get 2 eliminations and a 5th.
Are we saving? We're sharing a chug
Without
jug?
having a bit more eliminations, they're still in 8th place, despite having gotten such a good placement. So not only are they going to have to make it to endgame, but they're also going to have to figure out a way to look for a bit more frag opportunities. Chat, Breezy, and Mr. Savage, they were almost in a prime position going into the first moving zones until Cammy overtook it from them. They were kind of low on materials, so these later half of the match rotates have been getting the best of them, but at least Surge wasn't too much of a problem.
Just seeing so many teams looking to try and hug more towards some of these dead side rotates. Teams looking to also try and play all.
We're 1100 above Surge right now.
You don't want to burn too much of your material super early on and find yourself in a position where you're stuck trying to refarm material against teams that are likely desperate for Surge by then. And talking about desperation for Surge, Izzy, Blazi, Lixium, unfortunately on the receiving end of that currently. And it's going to take a lot for them to overcome this, because the only team that seems to be nearby enough to try and get some damage against is one of our strongest contenders in this finals lobby. But Pablo, Prodoxy, Gina, they're likely aware of the fact that they've got someone en route.
Oh, shoot already,
Lets off some
bro.
of these
Like,
shots.
you
That's
just hit
going to
one
be
shot out of fucking
the welcome visit here, but Lixium, Plasm, they're just so low. These surge takes are just brutal to their HP. They are desperately trying to chase down Prodoxy's team, but Chino and Co, they know better. They can tell this team's clearly desperate. They clearly need the damage. All we got to do is just hold walls to our back, and we are fine and out of here. And
a
little bit of frustration seeping through there for Lixium, understandably so. It is a tough break when your lobby just runs out because of surge damage thresholds, but that's part of the game, and it's part of development in the competitive landscape.
To be fair, it's kind of like you said, a fresher trio, so still getting kind of used to the caliber of these major finals lobbies, and especially in this current meta, if you don't have that early game kind of surge strategy set in stone, it's going to be very difficult to keep up with the rest of the lobby. Hizix, Howdy, down to Fuzo. They had trouble at Utopia earlier on.
Wow.
Got almost fully eliminated by Demon's Darn Picks. Now forced to kind of play shambles throughout the rest of the match, and you can see that based on their location and damage done. Both trios in this engagement, I don't think either one of them is going to come out on top, even if they end up securing the elims.
These are both just teams that ultimately dwindled out here because they encountered too many difficulties in those
Who you feeling like?
Extraction is at least going to make sure that Dendabuzo goes out with him. You're playing this far into the storm. High odds that they were both looking for those reboots, and sometimes just the way the cookie crumbles. Sledge is just doing what he can, see if he can buy himself some time, but it's going to take everything for him to make it into zone from this position.
Yeah, I mean, the med kits, the minis, they'll be able to survive a little bit, but I mean, reboot has to come through, rotate has to come through, surge is still hitting. It is just not gonna be.
It's just even if he gets the reboot off again, it doesn't. Naturally, it's just gonna be tough, man. You just have so much surge working against you, and it just keeps ramping up. Tayson, Chicho, Aetris, already taking a peek seize at Cammy, way overhead. Nice little elevated position, boxed up. Gonna be difficult. And Tayson knows he can't just directly tackle that fixated spot that Cammy has taken over. This is not the position you would want to see Pink in.
What the fuck?
Your hopes for making it to that global qual spot, but he can still try and get a little bit more time, a little bit of placements maybe. We're nearly to the point of being able to potentially turn this around. It's just a tough break, but Pink is an experienced player. He's been in this kind of scenario before.
That on Savage.
To try and adapt and overcome.
So they gotta get back to the roots and hit that consistency up, but speaking about consistency, Mr. Savage has gone down. Marius gonna pick up Reason shortly after, and Chap is gonna fall as well. Hybrid Julie gonna capitalize on that loot, but pressure still coming through. Pixie, Vanya, Marius leading the pack in terms of kind of the computer prediction going into today, but things changed by the match. 46 points on the board. Demons Domain zone pull. Let's see how this ends up.
The real problem is all these teams are kind of stuck at the base of Demon's Domain Mountainside. Vico, Veno, Flixie, trying to see if they can take advantage of it. Got a great field of view over the lobby currently, but Pink still looking to try and play a little bit of a spoiler there. Got a nice tag onto Medius, but he is still sitting 2 below. He does have a handful of small shield potions to work with. Some pinpoint accuracy, also gonna buy him a little bit more time, but this is getting so messy for a lot of these teams here, Takada.
It's literally the battle of Surge. Veno's trio going against Pink right now for who can be above that threshold. Pink somehow connecting shots from afar, but you cannot miss these shots, Pink. It's everything as Veno's team has overtaken the Surge, but now with the next hit coming through, both trios have gone below, applying even more pressure over 100.
Word.
Good news for Veno though is he has this whole trio to help him out with the tags, and Pink being alone is going to be 10 times more difficult.
It's part of the risk involved when you're playing these early dead-side rotates.
Perfect.
Keeping track of the Surge thresholds, but for Pink, he's playing a different game entirely. He's a solo, just looking to get active. Pablo Wingo might be on the receiving end of it. No, he gets shut down. Vico, Veno, Flixie inside, low ground, and Veno, unfortunately, can no longer join Vico and Flixie on this endeavor. It's going to be down to the rest of his team to try and make something happen here. But the Surge ticks are just destroying their HP. Flixie cannot afford another one. And just like that, barely elevating themselves above the Surge damage threshold, they found a moment of relief. But it's all so temporary and short-lived here, Takada, because they still have to press forward. They still got to find a way to recuperate their HP. And for Flixie, that's just not going to be in the conversation any longer. He's been fully knocked. Whether or not the team's going to be able to keep into his box is another conversation entirely. Vico doing what he can to try and hold, but he knows he has to forfeit it. Skvi, Truelight's team, just entirely too healthy to deal with. Vico is trying to see if he can get a good tag in on the side here, and Truelight's will unfortunately lose a good chunk of his AP for that, but Vico is still a solo. He has a good amount of builds up, Takada. He could look to just play through the backside and maybe catch an unsuspecting straggler.
Back-to-back games where Vico and Afflixion have had trouble with Surge. They're so used to fighting for Surge, but with a majority of the other teams just capitalizing on that Surge meta, it makes it that much more difficult for them, even if they get enough damage early on. It's just not enough in the end, as Vico's forced to do anything he can to get a little bit more points for his trio. They clutched it up as a duo in the last match, despite the difficulties. And you were talking about it, Taco. What if Queasy and his trio were up in game 1? Well, now you can see it here in game 2. Merstash, Swizzy, Queasy up in the clouds, looking to close out Height.
It's definitely a more traditional sense here, but also for Pixie, Meteos, and Vanya, they've been trying to set themselves up for their own position of success. Starts with big frags onto players like Taysom, but Queasy, Merstash immediately getting a move towards the next front side Height. They want to ensure that nobody has an opportunity to try and press them just yet. Looking to spray down. Head on a swivel behavior, and Swizzy, Merstash, they're looking to be the cutoff range for these teams trying to work through secondary Height. iDrop, Body. They don't have Cammy any longer, so trying to overtake Height might be out of the intentions here, but they can still look to play through that secondary Height, still look to play off of the side of the mountain face and not get caught in all of this traffic. And Vico still barely, he is hurt, but he is making it work, Takada.
9 seconds left till Zone starts taking Beacon, goes down though, as iDrop, Pari forced to play out as a duo, get as many points as possible when Zones have the danger of pulling once again up a mountain. You have to be prepared for the worst, and the worst is exactly what happened as Zone pulls even further up. All these players down below forced to use every last material they have to make it up to the zone. Some going around, but for Swizzy, Merstash, and Queasy, it's a blessing for them on Height. The number 1 trio goes down. Queasy, Merstash, Swizzy looking to close the gap on the leaderboard, but you gotta be careful. That second place trio, it's Seti, it's Yapko, it's Panzer. They're still up, and they're looking strong.
And they're looking to try and just keep clearing out teams that are forced to drop into their lair, essentially. But Pixie, Marias, Vanya, they're also looking to try and see if they can maybe overtake the front side of zone. They know that there are so many teams on each side of them, but Nathan, Doxy just running directly into the crossfire here. It's so hard when you're trying to scramble your way up this mountain face, so teams that are able to cement themselves early on, they just have the slightest advantage. But Trulex V and Teeny, with the IGL shot call of a lifetime, they're just gonna run directly through the tunnel. They're saving so much material here. They're getting a chance to refarm. Queasy, Merstash, Swizzy, that might be the final they'll have to deal with later on here. But right now, it's all down to Panzer. Scratch that. Yapko, Seti, they're the ones who are gonna have to come up big here for their team.
Good match.
And now Yapko, solo clutch position. How many more placements can he truly attain here?
If he fucking died, he had no rotate.
Out of sight, out of mind, but it's not going to be enough because you can never escape where Swizzy, Queasy, and Merstash are at. Just looking down, relentless towards the low ground teams.
They got the best zones possible. If any trio's gonna capitalize on it, it's them. And now they know their opponents are low on mats. They're bound to be low on HP. If there's any time you want to get fraggy with it, it's right now, as Swizzy's decided to drop low. Merstash shortly behind him, looking to see if they can pick up these last few eliminations. Just 3 trios are still up, but Merstash, big pump.
Oh my fucking god.
Goes down to fall damage. Queasy forced to drop and support his teammate Akira, trying to escape with the potential heal off as Yapko has made it back into the zone, but he quickly picks up Akira. 2 trios left, and now seems to be a 2 versus 1. Swizzy looking to close this game out. He connects the initial shots. He gets dropped, but Queasy with the quick pump is gonna clean it up.
Yapko's moving different, bro.
Okay, Yapko, I'm starting to see why NA puts so much respect on your name, bud. But hey, kudos to Queasy. Great heads-up positioning there. He knew he just had to lock in that last shot. He wasn't gonna leave Swizzy hanging by any means, but a great effort out of Yapko at the end there.
It's crazy to think about that at the start of this match, Queasy, Murstache, and Swizzy were about to get eliminated off spawn, but Swizzy was able to clutch up the 2 quick eliminations, and that literally granted them the shot of taking home this second match of the day, pushing them from 18th place to who knows what position now after that victory royale. They aggressively played for the high ground despite getting dropped in that first moving zone, and luckily enough, it kept pulling up the hill, allowed them to not get contested throughout the rest of that late game, and in those final moments, they decided to play a bit extra aggressive, pick up a nice few eliminations, and in the end, Yapko almost was able to make a miracle come through, but Queasy shut that down quickly and gave them that victory royale. That's it for game 2, so let's head back to the desk and see what they have to say.
Thank you so much. It's hard to believe that Queasy's trio were going to take the victory royale if you cast your mind back to that off-spawn battle where Swizzy pulled off a miraculous 2v1 versus Ping and Wox. And then obviously they're blessed by those mountainous zone pools in the end mini-minor and made the victory royale look effortless.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, a tough situation for Malibuca's team. Just, you know, another game 11 where they're trying to make it off spawn. They're trying the same strategy they tried before, and it just didn't quite work out for them. But, I mean, all eyes have to be on Swizzy here.
I mean, how can they not be? They've got to take him down there. Like, I'm all for giving my props to Swizzy because he did phenomenally there. But really, you're pointing fingers. If you're Ping and Wox, you're looking at yourselves in the mirror going, "We've got to win that, right? We really have to win those." And I mean, the rest of the game sort of plays out how I would have expected, right? I actually thought this was what game 1 was gonna look like, right? In one of these games where you allow, you know, the team to sort of come through, you beat them off spawn, you go out and win that game, right? Typically, right? That's what you expect from these elite teams. They obviously didn't do that in game 1. Here in game 2, they make it happen in the exact type of fashion we love to see them do it, Minnie.
Yeah, it's a typical Queasy victory royale, really, isn't it? Trying to dominate that high ground, understanding the zones where they could pull, of course, and ended up pulling over that hill. So they had to put themselves in the prime position. And when you're up on height in this position, it's so straightforward to make sure that teams don't try and contest, because everyone else down below is just trying to traverse up that hill and make their way up, whereas you can just sort of look down and ensure that nobody else can make their way through. So a really straightforward performance, but another one from these guys that we would expect, because this is exactly what they're going to be doing in all of the games.
And the way Swizzy played this game, again, just from the start, starting off with that huge sort of 2v1 in box, to just being an absolute menace to everyone in this lobby. So many times we watched him in this end game, and he was just putting in damage, just straight damage. And you know, I know the casters were trying to hype up there the potential for Yapko to make something happen. Nah, man, it wasn't happening, bro. Queasy was ready, max HP, always the insurance there. A very strong start from these boys.
I mean, historically, all of these players, even with different teammates, were high ground kings, and now they've come together to conquer. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be chatting about the rest of Game 2. Welcome back to the FNCS Europe Major 3 finals. We're 2 games in, and what games they have been. Let's talk about our end game situation. Just to recap, Swizzy, Queasy, Mustache took game number 2 in style, and they took it from the grasp of Seti, Yapko, and Panzer, a trio that we didn't get to see much of in the group stage because they did qualify via a victory royale, but they're really showing us what they can do now.
I mean, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. They are rising to the occasion. You know, when we have these major threes every year and there's the teams who we know need to qualify, a lot of the times, a lot of those teams sort of just come through, they skate through, they'll pick up an 8th or a 9th place, and that's enough to get them to globals. Jobs are good, and right, Minnie? These guys are not playing that way right now. They're playing like a team who has intentions to win the FNCS. It's all good. We know we can make it to globals. I'm Seti, I'm Panzer, I'm Yapko, 3 players who are globals quality players, absolutely. But we want to win the whole thing.
Yeah, and if you set your sights for that, I mean, you can only go one way, right? Things can only go well. And I think this is a team that does belong at this stage of the, or this point of the leaderboard as well. I think this is a team that we know how good they can be. We know the experience that all of them have. Panzer in particular on the come up as well this year as well. I think this is a position that he should find himself in first place here. I'm really liking the way they're playing as well. Low ground consistency, finding eliminations is whether they can keep it up now.
But Minnie, it's crazy. You think about Yapko, he was doing all right on NA Central until last season, and now he's come back and he's starting to look dominant in Europe again.
Yeah,
I think this on their scorecard for this year.
I think it's just a boost of confidence from him, really, going over to NA, performing well, doing that sort of, I think he came sort of like 5th and 8th on NA, maybe a little bit higher as well. He's just doing very well over there, giving himself that confidence back, which I think some veteran players might lose that as they get older and sort of more well-known in the scene and more experienced. So it's nice for him to be up on top.
But let's talk about the amazing performance as well of Sato, Karma, and Svix so far. They had 11 eliminations in their first game. Another strong performance from them here as well, Evan.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Sato might have heard us all, you know, waxing lyrical about Akira's trio and talking about their chance of making it to globals, and he's going, hold on a minute, guys. I've been to a global championship. You're forgetting me when you're talking about the best French players, and, you know, he's been putting on a show for us so far in these first couple games. You know, don't sleep on these guys. Do not sleep on these guys. There's always going to be a team in these majors, I think, that comes through and surprises people with their performances. And I think so far this team is that one. With that being said, Akira's trio did have a really good game and outplaced them, right? But it might be hard to outfrag these guys of how these guys are playing right now. Sato is really popping off, Minnie.
Yeah, if you're rooting for the French teams, you'll be really happy with how this has started. A couple of French teams popping off. I mean, these guys in particular having a really good start. I think it just comes down to now their off-spawn situation. How's that going to go? Contestations, team moving in. Are they going to be able to keep up that consistency? That's going to have to be questions they're going to have to answer for the rest of it.
Well, Akira, Karama, and Werex as well, they were appearing in the end game. It was kind of a blink and you miss it moment, but they were there and they were challenging the top, Minnie.
Yeah, better performance from these guys. We didn't see it in the game number 1. We didn't see what we know that these guys can do. It was a 14th with 2 eliminations. That last game, a 3rd with 11 eliminations. So a massive comeback for these guys. And I think that's going to give them a little bit of confidence now. Getting off to a good start in major finals is so important. They didn't have that 11, but they've come back and they have the chops to make it all the way.
Massive, big game. Could have been better as well. I know Akira went down there to 4 damage at the end. It was a tough closing out, but I'm optimistic about these guys ramping up the momentum a bit.
Well, we're going to ramp up the momentum. We've got 4 games left in tonight's lobby. There is everything to play for right now. It's too early to call, but we know now our trios are feeling warmed up. We're starting to see some contenders rise, but everything can change in just a game. So let's head into game number 3.
Look, Frankie, you're speaking about contenders. The top 3 right now, all trios have yet to qualify to the Global Championship. We were looking at predictions. The top 5 had all already qualified, but now our top 3 on the leaderboard have yet to get a spot in the Global Championship, and it is looking strong. 3rd place, you mentioned it. Sado and his trio, one of the French trios looking to represent their country in France, hopefully at the Global Championship. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves though, Taco, because we're still just going to be getting into game 3 here shortly, and there's 12 full matches to be played out. So let's get right into the next match.
Why Taco already map type shit?
Look, the leaderboard might not be panning out the way that a lot of folks would have expected for the starting point, but it is still day 1, and it's very clear that 1 or 2 solid pop-off performances could leave you in a much better position to try and play through, settle up some of those issues if you've been having them from day 1 matches, and figure it out for day 2.
I'm all about it though. I love the rivalry. We've got a sick off spawn at Demon's Domain. Absolute cinema leaderboard with Seti and Cammy in 1st and 2nd place, going head to head back and forth, and we're just kicking things off. So let's see if we get a 3rd contestation down at Demons. It's currently 2-0 for Queasy and his trio, and it looks like we are gonna get it.
We're getting it out.
This is another wash from Malabuca's team. You're gonna have to seriously start considering. Dude, just dropped it, but Queasy finds the first one onto Watch. Hoping that he can just barely manage to survive, but Swizzy hot on his heels, looking to chase them all out. Malabuca, he is the only one left standing. One of the fastest off-spawn disputes that we have seen today. And Merstash, Swizzy, Queasy, they're all just hunting down where has he, rolled off to. They don't realize that he's still sitting overhead. But there's no shotgun. Maybe this chest can provide it, but it's not a Sentinel pump here. This is not the shotgun that you want for up close and personal against 3 healthy members, Takada.
Yeah, look at their shields. Look at their loadouts. At this point, I'm thinking how to escape, not how to win the 1v3. It's how to get out of here. Where can I hide where they'll never find me? Or what's my exit route? But, I mean, you'd think after Scrims going 5-0 in the way of Queasy, they would have potentially committed to another drop spot, but this could be it. Malabuca now has a chance to take down Merstash. 1 player to the start. How has he not seen him?
So close, but so far away. Malabuca will be spotted out though, eventually, and now Merstash. Friends to enemies. At this point, everyone is fair game, and Queasy's team, for the 3rd time here today, have struck with success at Demon's Domain. This is definitely looking like Queasy's domain right now, though.
That it is. Still a long ways ahead of us, though, Taco. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but the confidence is definitely in the hands of Queasy and his trio. Ari, Cammy, eye drop. Kind of seeing this back and forth at Shining Span now throughout all these matches, but it's been working out for Cammy. Despite them losing that 1st place spot, they're still in the top end of that leaderboard, so all they gotta do is keep it up.
I think one of my favorite parts, though, about watching Cammy kind of play through a competitive environment is knowing that he's going to be one of the few teams that is almost always guaranteed to try and challenge the notorious Queasy for height. We've even seen lobby number 1, that was fully on Cammy. Lobby number 2, Queasy responds back, and now here, lobby 3, first it builds with this dispute here on Shining Span. Good early knock, early elimination from Cammy's team onto Belusi. Definitely gonna pose some issues there.
What's interesting about Karma, Sado, and Splik is, I hate bringing it up again and again, but that computer prediction we did put this trio at less than a 1% chance of winning the tournament, and now they're in 3rd place. looking stronger than ever, trying to not only claim that spot at the Global Championship, but potentially just win the whole major here. As we look at Pink, Kiro, and Nebs once again, Coach Harry was talking about it. This is a trio that has experience. They've been in Fortnite competitive for a while now. And what Coach Harry was saying is they kind of got to make sure they keep up the consistency in terms of, you know, the roots of Fortnite competitive, not just the specific meta that changes every single season, but the general roots of how to keep the chemistry up, how to do rotates depending on the zones, how to play these early, mid, end games. So hopefully we can see that consistency shine here throughout the 12-day format. And it looks like we might get a sneaky play here from Sado. Krennic has been cracked already. Huge opportunity to strike right now.
Krennic already a little bit frazzled, a little bit distracted. Doesn't even recognize the fact that Sado's ramping directly overhead of him. And Sado just drops down like a hawk from above, but he doesn't find that initial knock. He's still looking to chase it out though. Krennic just dashing down this mountainside. Sado can't connect to the final shot, and Giras now able to provide a little bit of supportive measures here. And that'll be a full-on disengage, just a missed swing from Sado. Got some good damage at least for the surge, but could have been so much more.
Should have been at least an elimination, in my opinion, but kind of missed the wall at it there after getting the initial shot. It's all good though, a bit of damage. Demon Storm picks, continuing with their fight, but kind of taking it out of Utopia City as Howley, Physics and Don there kind of on the run here. How many mats do they have though? I mean, it's still so early in the match, they can't be that healthy on material.
Both of these teams have just been consistently holding each other here at Utopia City. Largely, it's been Big Storm and Demus getting the upper hand overall, but Howley, Dandabuzo, Physics, and realized we're just not healthy enough. We just don't have enough material. Fall back, create a little bit of a gap between themselves and Big Storm and Demus, but those three are looking to just run them down. Why not key it? They trust in their fragging abilities. And that's something that Rex is gonna have to find. Shutting down iDrop this early on here at Shining Span. This is disastrous for Cammy, or at least it could have been if he wasn't able to fly overhead and find a quick little cleanup for himself. Big plays coming out of Cammy. He's definitely got some strong leads for Lobby 3. That's a lot of momentum early on.
Yeah, looking pretty one-sided at the Shining Span so far. Take a look at this eventful replay. Reason on the space.
Thank you.
It's always good to get a little brew in there for Savage, Reason, and Chap. So many fans are just looking for that team to have a Cinderella story type run.
Hi, Uncle Friends.
Though they're ultimately able to finish what they'd started.
Hello, Uncle
3 eliminations now to open things up. And the primary issue has definitely been this off-on battle just drawing out for way too long, but they're actually able to settle things up pretty quickly in this lobby, Takada. We might see them look for a better conversion of mid to end game.
Are you hear me?
Start is looking a lot stronger. Demon Storm picks. They were able to quickly finish that fight and not get staggered too long. Now, the thing is they probably almost even forgot how their route looks after getting those quick eliminations, since it's been taking so long in the start of this tournament. Kohawa, Kaisers sneaking up, trying to see if they can find an opening here. Not on Riddick again. Not in the same match back to back.
Sometimes it's just tough to catch a break here, but Kohawa, Kaisers, Maciak, they haven't found the true opening just yet, but it's close. Very near future. Fredek gonna take a little bit of time to heal, but even with those footsteps sounding overhead,
were you feeling like
Kaisers, they've already invested enough time here, Takada. They're willing to just fully commit. They know that this is an isolated player. There's no one coming to save him. They just gotta wait for him to actually roll into them, essentially.
Having a different trio do it too. They just heard him get cracked as well. Trexer.
How come no one chops this nigga?
Like, good news is nobody's sneaking up on him so far. Shots from afar is all that's happening.
Wow. Whoa.
Nice little bloom battle there. Fortrexer, Kaisers, Brawlhalla, Nasiak. Frenek was exposed, but it hasn't actually translated into
I was thinking Frenek's been getting jumped all game, bro.
Will fall back one more time. Is now Dinas. Will be the last piece of the puzzle here, and that's going to be enough to fully. It's just an ultimate fizzle out here, Takada. I really thought that we were going to see maybe Brawlhalla's team look to try and tackle the overhead, but it's just too strong of a position that Frenek and Giddis are holding onto right now.
Yeah, what I like about what Gyros and Dinas was doing is they were on the elevated area, kind of on the mountains surrounding Canyon.
Everyone just has God aim all of a sudden, bro.
Got shot and cracked. They were still able to have the better position to kind of cover him while he was able to build back up. So good job kind of preparing for those moments.
Just waiting for the revive to finish here for X-Force and CZB. Nathan off over yonder. Just doing what he can to collect whatever materials, excess loot his team might need. He trusts that CZB and X-Force have the surge locked down, but he might need to go actually give them a helping hand. They are not having a great time with their bloom battles, and sometimes that's just the way it goes.
It's the way it goes. I saw Merstash on the feed go down. I'm wondering what happened.
Okay, Chap and Savage still hanging out at their starting drop point of Resistance base, and they're looking pretty healthy. They're looking like they were able to get off to the start that they wanted. But Reason, he scouted Thimu, looking to try and play for the reboot ban. It's only a matter of time before he calls Chap and Savage over. That might be a primo chance to acquire even more surge, even more points off the eliminations.
Julie, Ghost, and Hyper. Close to where it was by Lone Wolf, but another full engagement going on. Or a look at Brawlhalla. Gotta be careful down in the snowy section of the map. Quick elimination gotta come through on the split. One of the top trios potentially going down here, unless Sato is able to make magic happen. 2 quick knocks, turning this fight around. Brawlhalla now getting a bit nervous, but they have to be careful. A full other trio crouching in.
Sato has absolutely no idea, just to expose, and Loki immediately punishes him for it with Sandguild by his side, now looking to just fully close in onto the remains of this starting point battle. Karma underneath, thought he could slip by unnoticed, but Loki actually gonna be 180 turned upon here. QB Sandguild now have to settle the score here. And fortunately enough for Loki, his teammates were more than healthy enough to take up that battle, but definitely thwarts their plan. Definitely going to cause them to slow down a little bit here, but it also definitely puts them in a really nice spot lead-wise, Takada.
Yeah, what an unfortunate way for Sato and his trio to go down, though. Just having to turn around that fight into getting 3-2-1. There's only so much you can do at that point. Reason, Chap, and Mr. Savage aren't going to pick up Robin and his trio, though. And needed the elimination since they've been struggling a little bit in the first 2 matches. Able to make it into the end game in the first one. The second one didn't quite go their way, but now a little more faith going forwards for the 3rd match.
With the amount of teams that we've seen playing some of these fights in the middle of Storm, Takada, Storm Sickness is a real kind of hovering threat for some of these teams. But right now, though, Ivan and Rosie, they're hoping that they can maybe see if their trio is powerful enough to overtake Asul's. And they've got them on the ropes here, Takada, but you need to just close things out. You want to find the eliminations and get a move on before the Edge of Zone has a real chance to fully focus in to where you're trying to rotate through anyway. They can't overstay, and they need this fight desperately. Asul and Inflexus just are not healthy enough to do anything else if they can't find a clear refresh.
It's a perfect opportunity for Cammy Kind of sit on the side of zone though and shoot back at them as they attempt to rotate in and finish up their battle here. I mean, the way the meta's kind of playing out puts a lot of these trios in desperate need of damage. We saw in game 1, Sado had 10 eliminations and still were under the surge threshold. So you can never stop looking for tags, never stop looking for damage. If you had an unlucky start of the game where you couldn't follow your surge path, you're put into even more pressure to make something happen before that end game begins. Take Neb's Kiro. I'm looking forward to seeing a big game from this trio. Hopefully this time, if they're able to make it into zone with the loops they have, they can make something happen.
Problem is they're kind of just being sidelined right now by Pigstorm and Demus. Kiro, young Fragger though, kind of opens up with a big knock onto Pix. Utopia is probably going to continue to be an issue for Pink Nebs and Kiro to rotate through though, knowing that they've got Torm and Demus essentially kind of maybe trailing them. But at the same time, teams like Merstash, Queasy, Swizzy, no interruption so far on their dead side rotate. Takada, it just comes down exclusively to how much surge are they able to acquire, but because of that all-spawn battle like Demon's Domain, it's likely to have them set up to just continue fixating on positioning.
Quite center map zone pull, not only for the island, but just the zone in general. As you can see, a significant amount of trios still in the storm, far away in one of those trios. Queasy, Swizzy, Merstash, they've done enough damage to play it a bit safer here. As how has this fight not ended? Another one struck out by Perhala after they picked up the quick eliminations onto Sado. Now they're kind of forced into getting stuck in the snow. Low shot gets hit.
Both of these teams, though, under that surge damage threshold, and they have so much ground to cover to even make it into the next edge of zone. This fight might just ultimately be the thorn in the side for both of these teams, no matter who comes out on top here, Takada. But it's always a matter of pride involved in these types of exchanges. For Hala, Macia, Kaisers, we're looking to settle the score right now with Sangil just immediately trying to tackle inside of his box, but Loki from a separate angle entirely. Now back to Perhawa, trying to see if he can overtake height, but across the way, Mistform directly towards QB. He knows that they're hurt, he knows that they're injured, and he knows that he's got Sangil to maybe back him up, but QB, a little bit too ambitious. And that's gonna be enough here for Sangil and Loki. They're trying to see if they can sit back, but Perhawa, Macia, Kaisers, they know that this is entirely in their favor now. Up until Kaisers takes too much damage, and Sangil looking to even the score here, but Perhawa on the other end of things finds that last elimination onto Loki. Sangil now trying to see how long can he delay Perhawa and Maciak. Both of these teams have got to get a move on the Takada.
That's the issue. I mean, normally when you have the height, you kind of have the choice to just disengage and run away, but when you're so far low below the surge threshold, you kind of have to continue the fight despite being so far away from zone and not even knowing if you have a chance to make it back. And with the amount of HP that Perhala and his teammate have, I mean, even if they end up getting these eliminations, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make it back. Sangil doing what he can to hold his ground. 98 shot gonna come through. The knock onto Perhala, turning it into a 1 versus 1. Another shot connecting as Sangil is looking to close this one out.
Sangil just refuses to fall here, and Maciak, what should have been an easy, tidy up exchange, has now been completely turned on its head.
The bug on my money pick my blood with my son.
Actually fallen. Whether or not Sangil is able to prevail from this point on, Takada, the one thing that is very clear is that if you're gonna step up, you better step correct, because teams are locked in right now. Players are teed up for this grand finals.
I love what I'm seeing here from Reason, Savage, and Chap. They got a very good zone pull. Now they're able to conserve a good amount of mats, but it's all about just opening up angles on the players rotating in. But what happened to Cammy and iDrop? Harry's been left alone, just 70 above. It's Demus Darn Pix right in front of him. Mist form's gonna come into play, but they're gonna know you're a solo if you get seen here. A full trio to your right, there's only so many options you have.
Just drop all hard material possible and face up. Hardy might be able to try and catch a player off guard. At the very least, he can look to just push back, but it appears as though he's drawn a little bit too much attention. Team's kind of recognizing this is a solo operation. This is not a fully healthy team by any means. And Hardy praying that somebody else is there to distract Kurama, Werex, and Akira. But we'll have to sit tight and just wait for his opportunities. It's hard to be proactive when you're a solo in a lobby full of so many trios and even duos.
Yeah, ideally as a solo you want to conserve materials, but you need to kind of overbuild to not put that focus onto you. Yapko, Seti, and Panzer trying to apply pressure onto Akira on his trio. 277 below. Now they're going to be forced into a bit of panic here as they have to look at multiple directions. The issue is a lot of the trios are already boxed up. They either go for a triple spray onto a wall or look for that late trio rotating in, but 300 is a big number, Taco. They got to connect a lot of shots.
The beggars can't be choosers, though. They just got to get into somebody's box, and they need to do it expeditiously. They might have found their targets. It's Kurama, Werex, directly underneath them. Panzer trying to see if he can find some sort of angle, a little bit of leverage here to kickstart this battle. But Kurama holding fast. Panzer finally gonna drop, but it's just too much desperation. They're putting themselves in two operative positions. They're getting reckless with their peaks. They are 96 above, and it's still climbing, but losing Seti. Juice might not have been worth the squeeze after all. They're gonna try and see if they can make a play, throwing Seti's box back, but even with the double revive in motion, it's still going to be very difficult for these guys to move forward. They've got to get more damage.
The zone pull to them, though. They got the perfect zone pull. They're now 70 above. All the opponents have to rotate towards them. They just have to take shots onto them. Harry somehow is still up, but with 304 below the threshold. Surge now ticking with just a couple minis left. 5 bandages. You got to hope either we go below the amount of players that have to be up here, or Harry finds a miracle, but the zone pulls in his favor. It's just the timing. It's not looking good.
Unfortunately, sometimes you just have to depend on the lobby to kind of turn in your favor. But bodies are not dropping like flies right now, not at the speed that Hardy needs them to. That's really what he's trying to buy time for, is hoping that the surge threshold is just turned off. But that might not be afforded to him. Just gonna play out what's left of his bandages here, Takada. But I fear we are witnessing the demise of Cammy's last standing member.
Look above. Looks like we have a face-off, a head-to-head potentially. Queasy on the west side, Vanya and his trio on the east side. Depending on where this first moving zone pulls, it could give one of these trios a massive advantage for that high ground, as Hari now, with only 1 bandage left, has a bit of time till Surge starts ticking again. It's 5 seconds on the clock until he has to make a move.
Love that Hari is just thieving some Mendes grenade from the other team surrounding him. Veno, Flixie, Vico though, they've got the Surge figured out this match. 259 above, but still looking to keep that number ticking upwards in their favor. Queasy, Merstache, Swizzy, big tag onto Queasy. A little bit unlucky there, but right now they've settled the score. They've taken over the high ground.
I wouldn't say unlucky. They got that first zone pull. Now all they got to do is hold on to it, and if any trio's going to do it, it's them. As now their focus, apply pressure on trios that look like they might want to take it later on. Make sure to conserve a lot of mats on these initial rotates if they end up getting multiple far pulls. Pink on the edge of zone, making his way in. Panzer, Yapko, Seti somehow still up from the potential tragedy that almost just went down in the last zone to now having a full trio up, and Vico, Veno, Flixie looking healthier than ever.
They're just content to stick to the mid-ground for right now, but Veno knows we've got to play through front side instead. And Veno just trying to get a little bit of separation here from the rest of the pack. Doesn't want to get too caught up in any of the congestion that's starting to build towards that backside of zone. Vanya, Medius, Pixie, they want height and they want it now, and they get it, but it does come at a cost. Granted, Queasy also incredibly low. Medius and Pixie gonna be able to play defensive measures here. Vanya now healed up more than enough, and the height overthrow is a success. Medius, Pixie They get chopped out though. Queasy one more time tries to take it over, but Manya, that's a big spill here. And from Marius and Pixie, they're now left to try and pick up the weight. But with Queasy, Merstash, Swizzy playing through the high ground, it's just not going to be a possibility. They're going to be forced to now just drop ultimate low.
Less than 5 seconds, and Queasy, Swizzy, Merstash were able to take back that high ground, eliminating Vanya to the chop down, as now they're running a bit low on mats, but all they need is 1 or 2 refreshes. They drop down, get a little aggressive with it. Marius down on the mid ground, looking to see what they can do. Mr. Savage, Chap Reason on second height, but the pressure's on them now. Queasy taking shots, trying to get them to drop further. He does not want to get contested again.
Merstash also dropping directly overhead of where Savage's team was at, but Yapko, Panzer, Seti, they've been making statements throughout their first couple of lobbies here today, and they don't have any intentions of slowing down anytime soon here. CZB also hugging towards that backside load, but Veno, Flixie, Vico, spotlight on them. High ground is noticed. Mid ground's not safe. Swizzy's gonna be one of the first to drop here. He's hoping to see if he can get a big refresh, a nice little elimination, take the loop back up to Queasy, wherever it may come, but Merstash will be the first one to find success here. Hasn't had a chance yet, though, to go grab the body loop, but that was Flixie who went down. Trueleg still sticking it out, backside of zone. Team's just getting trampled in the mid-ground layers.
Marius doing what he can to stay up. Pixie's incredibly low, but the madness is going to come through alongside that Chug Jug. It's going to be more than enough to keep himself up. Merstash has gone down. Queasy put into shambles. It is going to be Pixie Marius as a duo. They've overthrown height.
Everything's just gotten a little bit too chaotic now. Swizzy, too much of a mess here, and only one build remains. He'll try to do what he can, but he doesn't have any way to prevent Height shooting him down. Pixie and Marius as a duo now. Everybody is so hurt down below in these low layers. Vico has fallen. Veno might be next. But first off, Seti, Benzer, Yapko still working through that front side low. Same case scenario here for Savage, Reason, and Chat. This could be their moment. They've managed to chase down Veno. They've completely torn apart this secondary Height. It's all down to whether or not they've got enough left in the tank to fully take down Pixie and Marius and also deal with the Titans underneath them. That's Seti's team.
How are they still pushing forwards? Reason, Chap, Savage, they've taken height. So many retakes have came throughout this match, and Marius is going for it again, but he quickly gets shut down. Mr. Savage needs this game. They had a rough first 2 matches to start off this tournament, but all it takes is one big one with a big shot coming throughout the Pixie. Savage is gonna go down. It's all up to Reason now, but he has no heals, and Haris is gonna end up winning the heal off.
It was just too much at the end to try and pull it through, but we've seen so many of these games be dictated by what resources do players have left by these shambles moments, and I think that Savage's team, though, they did a great job of just holding their own inside that secondary Height.
They definitely did. All they needed was a decent match to put them back into, potential to qualify into the Global Championships, but even just taking home that first place spot, that's a huge bump up on the leaderboard, but also for Tayson, Shisho, and Haris, they were 16th place going into this match, and consistency is what paid off. They were able to hold on to a good amount of heals. They disengaged when things got the most chaotic, and from downtown, Haris, without a sweat, was able to close out that match with heals to spare. So let's head back over to the desk and see what they got to say.
Thank you very much, guys. That was probably the messiest endgame we've seen so far. So many contenders challenging for the victory royale, but in the end, HRS quietly crept up and knocked out the competition. Evan.
Hey, huge game for this trio, and I feel bad with what I'm about to say, but they're a trio that I feel like easily gets forgotten about here in EU, right? Because they've already qualified to Global, so we're not talking about them as a team that needs to do that, right? And they're not quite a contending team, right? It's not felt that way in terms of performance leading up. People aren't predicting them to come through and win FNCS, and so they sort of just go under the radar. But one thing you cannot deny is that there is quality there, Mini, and they showcased that quality here. Haris with a huge cut staying alive. There was pressure on him, right? Seti's knocking down his door, and he answered incredibly well.
Yeah, really great game for these guys. They only managed to get 1 elimination competition before this game, so they've ramped it up a little bit as well. And I remember, I think it was in the group stage we were talking about this team, and they seem to have an off game and then an on game and then an off game. So maybe we're going to see a little bit more of that sort of trend right now, getting a really good game in that previous one. Can they continue that? Are they going to maybe have not so good game next game and then a great one the next? We'll have to wait and see, but they need to try and find some consistency.
They might not have the pressure of qualifying for Leon on their shoulders, but now they've got a taste of success. They're going to be hungry for more. We'll be back in a few.
Did you finish the episode? Oh yeah, rest up.